I'm Chef Leroy and welcome to my cozy kitchen. Well, today we're going to talk about couscous. I am going to make a curry chicken couscous today. I've got a lot of different recipes that I've made up over the years with couscous, but generally the actual couscous itself and the liquid usually always are the same. Ingredients can change, but I'm doing a chicken curry couscous today. And what is couscous? It's so good you gotta say it twice. But anyway, couscous actually comes from semolina wheat. So it is a wheat product, which means it's not gluten-free. But I really like this product because of how easy it is to make. Love it. Great flavor. So let me show you how to put it together. Let's get after it. All right, we have everything here we need to make a successful couscous. Main ingredients, couscous. Now, I've got two different products here. This is Red Mill, and then this is Near East. Does it matter which one you use? No, they're the same. Now, the best deal on the planet, though, is if you go to the store and buy it in bulk. A lot of the stores carry it. I could not find it this time when I went, so I ended up buying well, I had this bag before, and I'm not going to get rid of this bag. You know why? Because the box, now that it's open, I can pour it into the bag and the bag seals. So that's the good thing. Keep the bag, okay? So that's that one product. I'll show you what else I have here. We'll kind of go right down the list. So first thing we need in the pot, we need some olive oil. I'll set that over here by my pan. Got a tall-sided pan right here, saucepan. I have chicken broth. I have bay leaf, dry thyme. Can't call it curry without curry powder. I've got some butter, which I'm using. Can't believe it's not butter, butter substitute. Minced garlic. I've got some black pepper corns here. This is a new mill I picked up too. This is pretty sweet. I'll show you how that works. In my little bowl here, I've got 4 bay leaf and a half teaspoon of dry thyme. In this little bowl here, I've got a 1/4 cup of this butter. All right, now vegetables. In this container here, I'm not going to show you all the chopping. I'm cut that detail out. I've got in this, I've got a half yellow onion diced. I've got 2 large juicer carrots that I peeled and diced. I've got a half of an orange pepper, just using a sweet bell pepper if you like. I also have half of a green pepper, also diced. I'll show you what the dice looks like in my fingers here. So that's what that looks like, okay? It's not too big. I also got 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, okay? What else am I missing? Can't be chicken couscous without chicken. All right, what I've done here, now this chicken breast comes from Costco. They come in these big packs of chicken. Well, there's 2 chicken breasts to a pack here. This is a little bit over 2 pounds of chicken. I'm gonna use this. Now there's a lot of juice in here and this will shrink, so you're not gonna get a complete 2 pounds. But this is just over 2 pounds of chicken. So that's where you wanna start, okay? So I'm gonna leave these 2 packs right here. I'll show you how to cut that chicken up. But otherwise, we're gonna get everything in the pot besides the chicken right away. And we'll cut that chicken up, get that in the pot. Because what I do is I cook everything together except for the couscous that goes in the end with my butter. And I do my curry kind of in a later step too, but I'll show you that. All right, so let's go ahead and get the olive oil in the pot. I'm gonna use 1 tablespoon, just like so. Put my dry herbs in after I throw in my vegetables. I like them to sit on top so they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. A little harder to mix them in then. Okay, just like so. And my dry herbs. And this is basically ready to go on the stove. But I'm not gonna move it yet because I wanna get that chicken cut and I'm going to put it right in there and cook it all together. So let's make some space here. Move my couscous to the front and I'll show you how I get everything together. All right, so we have our chicken breast here from Costco. I love shopping Costco. All right, now remember the board that you're using to clean it really well after using raw meat. And I've already cut my vegetables on this board before I cut my raw meat, so I don't have to worry about it. But again, what I'm doing is I'm going to cook everything together anyway, so there's not really a factor of cross-contamination with what I'm doing today. Now, if I didn't clean my board well, then I would definitely have a problem with cross-contamination, okay? All right, here we go. Get those chickens out of there. And we're going to cut them into pieces. So if we got any fat like this here, let's just trim that off. Okay, it's a piece of chicken. Let's go ahead and cut it into strips, just like so. I'm going to cut them into about 1/2 to 1 inch cubes. You can cut it smaller so you get more chicken throughout your meal. You could cut it larger if you want larger pieces in there, but I usually go about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Okay, there you go. And pick it up and put it right in your pot with all your vegetables. And repeat. All right, there you have it. Chicken's done. Now, you don't need to do 2 pounds of chicken. We're making kind of a big batch. We like to batch cook. So this will be for the week, and we can also freeze it. Couscous freezes really well. So I'm using 2 pounds of chicken, and I already gave you all the other increments on the vegetables. Now this meal is really awesome too. Why? Because it's 1 pot meal. Makes it so much more convenient, okay? Well, let's get this on the stove and get it rolling. All right, I'm gonna turn this up to high. Again, I've got an induction stove, so it doesn't take long to get hot. And this is a bit of a thinner pan. It's basically aluminum with a steel bottom, which is pretty sweet. I really like this pan. Give it a little bit of mix. Try to get that oil mixed in with everything. I'm only using 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And that's plenty, because this is a non-stick. Just kind of mix everything up nicely. And let her cook. All right, another item I would like to add to the video is your curry, okay? So this is my curry powder here, and it's basically an Indian curry, yellow curry. You can go to the store, that's common, pretty much all stores carry some type of curry. You can use green curry, red curry, whatever kind of curry you want to use. There's a bunch of different ones, but I like to be adventurous, so every time I travel somewhere, I like to find something different and unique. Well, when we were in Hawaii earlier this year, when we went to Kauai, I picked up this guy. It's called Koke curry, I guess. I don't know if that's the exact pronunciation, but it comes from the Trade Wind Spice Company. So we're going to try this for the very first time. It smells awesome, by the way. I'm going to set that aside. I've got 2 tablespoons in this bowl. I'm using 2 tablespoons. It sounds like a lot of curry, but this is a pretty big dish, and I really like curry. So we're going to do that. Now, another tip. If you're in a hurry on your dish and you want to speed this up, just put a cover on it. I have my cover right here because you will cover it when you're ready to put your couscous in. You need to cover it. That's another step we'll talk about later here. But just go ahead and cook your chicken until it becomes pretty much white. It doesn't have to be completely cooked all the way through, because you will be putting water in here, and you'll basically bring this up to a boil and make sure that your celery and your carrots are soft before you add your couscous. All right, so let's go ahead and just let this cook, and we'll get back to you in a little bit. The other thing I was going to mention about couscous in general. So I typically use just plain couscous. So this box, this Near East, they have various they have different varieties of couscous. I always get the original. That's just your plain standard couscous, just like that. They have other flavors. If you're going to use other flavors, then you wouldn't probably do what I'm doing here. You could still do a plain Jane one with chicken stock, but you wouldn't want to necessarily use the curry, okay? So that's my little tip of that. And again, going forward, I would much rather use the bulk couscous if you can find it. Just go ahead and get a bag of it. It's so much cheaper, honestly. All right, that's looking perfect. So again, all my chicken is pretty white. So now I can go ahead and add my chicken stock. Now, what chicken stock do I use? Well, I'm using chicken broth from Swanson. I'm going to add 3 cups to the pot. And I have not turned my heat down. Okay. There you go. Now, you can get away with using water with chicken base. I've done that many times. Now, I'm not going to add any salt to this because this has salt in it. So I won't add any salt. There you go. Now what I will do is I will add pepper. Now I have this cool pepper mill. They sell these at Sur La Table. I bought this in Chicago. This thing, we don't have one in Minnesota anymore. I'm really sad about that. You can still buy stuff online, but I picked these up in Chicago. It's really awesome. So I did like 6 of those side over cranks, okay? I'll do one more just to show you. Just like that. Isn't that cool? And I really like it because it's got a side chute to fill it. Makes it really easy. And it has your adjustments for your different grades. So that's cool. I also have a gray one that I picked up. I haven't done anything with this one yet, but you can put some herbs in here. I'm thinking about making an herb mix to use for grinding. So that's how it works. Really cool. All right. Buy you one of these. They're awesome. All right. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let our couscous dish come up to a boil. And then I will reduce it to a simmer. Now, if you're not going to put a cover on it to keep it covered, you might end up adding a little bit more stock back to it because it will reduce a bit, which you might end up having to add about a 1/4 cup to a cup of stock. So I kind of recommend that you go ahead and put a cover on it. Once it gets up to a boil, make sure you get it down to a nice low simmer. All right, let's let it cook. All right, let's take a look at our pot here. Have the cover on it for a little bit. And see, that's up to a nice boil. Give it a mix. Now, if you leave the cover on it, you won't get a lot of reduction in water, so that'll be good. Like I said, if you get some evaporation, you may have to add a little bit more liquid to your couscous, otherwise it'll be pretty dry. I already have my ratio figured out with this. I always use 2 cups of couscous and 3 cups of liquid. Okay, I'm going to reduce that down to a simmer. I'm going to put my cover back on. And we're going to let it just chill out like that. Okay, let her cook. All right, everyone. So I've had my chicken couscous kind of hanging out here for a little while. And that's what I really like about this. If you're really not ready to eat, you can stage this, okay? Get everything ready in your pot. If it's cooled down slightly, just bring it back to a boil, okay? And then pull your cover up. Now it's not quite to a boil yet, but what I want to show you is this. I always try to fish some of the bay leaf out, okay? One thing they're not is they're not desirable to eat. So if you get one on a spoon and all of a sudden it's in your mouth, they don't chew good, right? So I like to try to pull those bay leaf out. That's why I also count them too, so I know how many bay leaf are in here. Now in here my carrots are nice and soft. I checked them already. I already had this ready to go, honestly. Now the next thing I'll do before I add my couscous, I'm going to add my curry. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so in my bowl I've got my curry. Again, I got this from Kauai earlier this year. The yellow curry. It smells really good, by the way. I haven't tried the mix, so I don't know yet, but it's a really nice smell. So go ahead and mix in your curry. Ooh, look at all that beautiful yellow gold goodness. There's another piece of bay leaf. Take that out. And this dish entirely takes about 1 hour from start to finish. It literally takes about an hour. And again, like I said, it's a nice one pot skillet meal. All right, my couscous is back up to a boil, pretty much. Now I have induction, so this shuts off quick, so I don't have to worry about removing it from the heat, because I can just shut it off and the heat will be gone, right? Now what I like to do is I like to mix my couscous right in to the water while it's not boiling hard, but I like to mix it in right before I shut it off or remove it from the heat. So mix that in really well. Now you're probably wondering, what are you doing with the butter? That's going in last. Okay, I'll mix that in after the 5 minutes that the couscous will be hanging out. Okay, so mix that in nice and well. Now you can see it's starting to come back up to a boil. Put a cover on it and shut it off. Now again, because I have induction, it shuts off immediately and the top of the range isn't that hot. So, but the main thing, you just don't want to leave it on a hot surface. So if you don't have induction like I do, move it off to the side and you'll be just fine. All right, set a timer for 5 minutes and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, my 5-minute timer just went off. Pull that cover. All right, let's take a spoon, mix it around. Look at that. Whew. That looks fantastic. Now we're gonna fold this butter in. Now you think, oh, that's a lot of butter, but believe me, this butter makes it like money, okay? So I believe it's important, okay? Use that spoon to get some more of that off, just like so. Fold that butter in. Now this is not whole butter, but it's margarine basically, but it makes it so good. It makes it nice and moist too, which is good for couscous. All right, there we go. Now we are ready to basically eat. So I'm just going to throw that cover back on and we'll dish it up with our favorite side. And I'll show you what that is. All right, so here's one of our favorite sides. I did a Parmesan crusted cauliflower to go along with our couscous today. This is nice and slow roasted in my toaster oven. I actually do the broiled feature on there to start with a couple times to get that browned up look. So we're going to throw some cauliflower in there. And I used a little bit of grated parm, a little bit of olive oil, tossed everything together in a bowl, just a little bit of garlic, and then some salt and pepper. And that's it. Okay, let's go ahead and dish up our couscous. Tell you guys, this is incredibly good. So I highly recommend you try this recipe. If you don't like curry, you can do it without. You can straight up do it with just chicken stock. Or you can do it with what other wonderful seasonings you like. And voila! Chicken curry couscous, or curry chicken couscous, whichever way you want to say it. We are ready to eat, so I'm going to do a little recap when we are finished with our dinner. See you guys in a little bit here. Okay guys, I told you I'd do a little recap on the curry chicken couscous. What a fantastic dinner, by the way. Really good accompaniment with the cauliflower, we'll say that, it was excellent. So, again, yellow curry is what I used. I got this one in Kauai, Hawaii. It's actually really good. You know, curry has lots of different flavors. It depends on the recipe because curry is not its own spice. It's a mixture, right? So they can all be a little bit different. This one was actually very good. I'm pretty impressed. I liked it. Now, I want to go back to this pepper mill that I picked up from Sur La Table. It cranks quickly, right? You get quite a bit of pepper out of it, so you got to be careful with the crank on this. But I was just want to go back to the pepper quantity that I put in there. If you're not using a grinder of any kind and just using ground pepper, I would just use about a half teaspoon. Okay? If you want a little spicier, add a little bit more. Remember, you can add sauces to the top of it, you know, hot sauce or whatever you'd like. Okay? What else? So again, I'll show you here. Keep a diary on what you're doing, okay? I think it's extremely important. I've changed recipes over the years. I flip-flop back and forth a lot of times, just trying different things, different ingredients when I make different items. But I'll tell you, couscous is one of my favorite items to make at home. I think it's fantastic. Again, it's a one skillet meal, which makes it really nice. You don't have to clean so much stuff unless you're doing a side dish like we did. But I use aluminum foil on my tray so I can just take it off and rinse the tray at the most, okay? So that's it. I kind of gave you all the parameters on the recipe early on. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, ding, 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 and send me comments. I'd like to read them. I'll give you any other information on the recipe if you need that. Otherwise, you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Chef Leroy, and out.